Good morning. I'd like to take a few minutes for heaven's sake. Most of us as people have fallen into the routine of getting for less and less giving. The Word says that the principles of God are clearly seen by the things that are made. And many of us don't really recognize that in our life these days. Because we have fallen into the belief that we can get more for less work. And, that is not how God's economy works. You don't get more butter beans by planting less butter beans. It just does not work that way. So, again, God's word says that as a person sows, so shall they reap. And it's hard to come against a world with a mindset of entitlement and steadily striving to get more for less. And we as Christian people need to be the example of knowing and trusting the principles of God and being a reflection of that. There's less and less people growing their own food for survival. We just run to the grocery store and get whatever we want. It doesn't matter what season it is. We just go pick what we want, as much as we want, and self-checkout, and there we go. So we lose the connection between God's principles and the system of mankind always looking for the easier, softer way. The word says that not to grow weary in doing good, but that in due season a person would reap the goodness of their labor, of this sowing to godly living. We have so many examples, if we would just look around us, of God's principle. Some things grow faster than others. This lettuce, for instance, it sprouts within days. Radishes, within 40 days you can pop a radish in your mouth and enjoy the fruit of your labor. Tomatoes, not so much. You're 90 days before you will ever taste your first tomato. And beans and squash and some of the others are 4 months before you will taste your first fruit of your labor. So it's good to be reminded to get back to our roots, no pun intended, but realize and remember that God's economy is one that requires the faith of planting, the constant tending of the garden. These tomato plants will produce suckers that will rob energy and help to reduce the amount of fruit that happens on these tomato plants, and then we're required to prune. So it's that way in our spiritual life. The more that we tend to the matters of our soul and spirit, the more fruit we will produce. God says that we were ordained to bear fruit, and not just some fruit, but much fruit, and in the witness of that He would be glorified. So be blessed today. Don't grow weary in doing good and sowing to the Beautiful, faithful principles of God.